Apparently this person had a Snark subreddit about them, and apparently they killed themselves. I don't know why I laughed. That's not funny. I'm sorry. I don't know why I intonated it that way. I don't think that's a word.
Hi, everyone. I just want to start this video out by saying parental advisory. This is not a video for children.
Please, God. Okay? I don't plan on killing myself right now, but if I ever do, please, God, if one of you makes a video about how sad it is, please do not start it off by giving a trigger warning. Please don't do that to me. Okay?
And a trigger warning. Some of the things you're about to hear are going to be triggering for some people. I don't have approval from the board to make this video, but I have to say what needs to be said. I have to. This is a video I never planned on making, and it's completely devastating having to sit down and write this out. But a couple days ago, Michaela Rains passed away. This is the most hurtful and difficult time of my life, so please bear with me as I try to read this through the tears. Michaela was the most bright and shining example of what you could accomplish if you really set your mind to something. She was never held back by ideas that everyone else considered unrealistic. As many of you know, she was on the autism spectrum, and while that made her life very difficult, it allowed her to hyper-focus on one thing, and that one thing was obviously animals. From a young age, she dedicated every waking hour of her life to helping them, whether it was helping a snapping turtle cross the road or saving 500 foxes from a terrible fur farm. She was never in it for fame, money, or personal gain. She was truly one of the most selfless people I have ever known.
Why are we watching this? I don't know. It's a little crazy. I guess I don't know the full backstory, but it feels like the Snark thing used to be kind of just like Kiwi Farms and like lolcow and PULL and stuff, but now it's like it's a common thing. It seems very crazy to me that Reddit allows the Snark forum stuff because Reddit is so opposed to general hate forums, like fat people hate and all of those seem to have gotten banned. You can have like entirely dedicated anti-fan subs that are just for anti-fanning people. It seems a little crazy, but
she put the animals' well-being.
Well, for some people, sorry. Some people, their anti-fan subs get banned immediately, but
over her own time and time again. She would forgo sleep, eating, and showering if there was an animal that needed her help. And it was not just foxes. I've seen her help birds.
I actually watched this channel. You just made me learn about this right now. What the fuck? Yeah, I think this was yesterday it was announced.
Reptiles, sheep, squirrels. I truly believe when it came to animals, she could do anything. She would build the strongest bonds with all of the animals here, constantly working to earn their trust and create a lasting connection. Every single animal here just lost their best friend. And over the course of her life, she was responsible for saving into the 4 figures of animals, and all of your support made that possible. She would always love the letters that you would send, the pictures and paintings that
You know what the Snarker's issue with her was? I have no idea. I've never read her sub. I don't even know anything about this person. I just saw that they themselves.
The children made, and the kind words and comments in your posts. Her words were heard by millions and has affected more lives personally than I could ever hope to count.
Apparently they privated it. Several years ago, I wrote an informational post explaining why a prominent figure in the animal rescue community is not the same people think she is. Now I alone am being blamed for her suicide. One thing, you kind of have to be in the community to understand like how it works, but there's a lot of kind of subtle signaling and messaging that to external people seems fine, but it's very annoying because if you know, then you know. So for instance, they talk a lot in, Kiwi Farms will do this as well, and I imagine all the Snarkers do, will say things about how I'm just writing informational stuff, or this is just like cataloging. When people say things like that, what they really mean is you're A-logging, you're creating like an obsessive history of every single interaction, public or private, that this person has done, and then you're trying to connect it to other people in their life and potentially logging and cataloging everything that those people do. All of this includes doxes and everything as well, but doxing is like the least of your worries with like this like category of people. And then also a lot of it will include speculation and then people kind of giving their own spin and interpretation of events as well. So but that's what, when people say informational post, it means it's generally some like insane deep dive like that. A video dropped today announcing Michaela Reigns of Save a Fox's death ever since my notes have been overflowing with her meat riders. People have obsessively brigaded my posts and comments on various subs. You people are calling me slurs, threatening to dox me, and telling me to kill myself as well. And somehow you're the good guys. I bet if I were to actually kill myself, you would be very quiet. When I first found out what happened in the very heat of the moment, I felt no remorse. Then a pit made itself known in my stomach and began to expand. But now, with the way you people are behaving, the guilt is starting to wane. I am proud of the fact that I was able to raise awareness of her wrongdoings. What I'm not proud of is that people took her death as an invitation to hold me personally responsible. Do you really think Michaela went, oh no, 2 years ago, a small furry creator on the internet said I'm not perfect, time to kill myself? I wonder what her wrongdoing, I wonder what that means, what they wrote about. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know anything about the history of this person. You probably won't believe me when I say this, but I was never a part of the SAF, that's the content creator, Save a Fox Snark subreddit. I never even knew it existed before today. Since the initial announcement, over 40 people have wished various things like bankruptcy and homelessness on me and telling me to rope myself and do what she did, among other graphic instructions to suicide. One person even told me to create mustard gas. I also like how these people that do all the A-logging is what people call it, A-logging, is when you like obsessively stalk a person and then write all their information down in some like massively deranged anti-fanning posts, right? I like that all the people at A-log will get super self-righteous when people start, kind of attacking them as well, which is funny, but... Since the initial announcement, over 40 people. Oh, another thing I've seen is people pulling the autism card. Newsflash, autism give you impunity from animal abuse. I should know since I have it too. If Michaela cannot be blamed for her fox's easily preventable deaths, then I cannot be blamed for her own death. If you're going to blame anyone, blame the Tumblr users. What's this mustelid? And is the fox video cute for bringing to my attention everything wrong with Save a Fox? I simply compiled the information they'd given me. That is not bullying. From what's this mustelid themselves? There's another person, I guess. Edith specifically pointed out that the loudest voices affecting Michaela were people she knew and other animal sanctuaries, not a random Tumblr blog that gets less than 100 notes in each post. This post probably won't make things any better for me, but what you're doing now certainly isn't making things any better for you either. Are the people that post on Snark subs psychopaths? Like, what kind of people are drawn to this stuff? I think it takes a certain type of person to be like an obsessive anti-fan, but I don't think they're so much psychopaths because usually they've convinced themselves that what they're doing is righteous, and they also kind of, I don't want to abuse this word, but like dehumanize the people that they talk about. Like, they just don't view them as people in their personal lives or people that they have a personal relationship with. So it's very easy to, if you view somebody as just like an object to be spoken about and obsessed over, then it's just not you're not thinking about it as much, I guess.
She was not just a rescuer, but an advocate. Her legacy is Save a Fox. And despite her being the most important part of that, I am not going to let it stop here. I will do whatever I can to see Save a Fox keep moving forward to save as many lives as possible. I gave Michaela all of my love and energy, and I will do the same with this rescue going forward. As long as you are all here to support us, we can do this. And I will try to keep the content coming since that is such an important part of our funding. As long as you all can continue donating, interacting online, buying merch, and coming here for tours, we can continue to help the many helpless animals that need us and educate and bring awareness to everyone. This is what Michaela would want, and I have to see her goals and dreams be realized. Aside from being the amazing superhero of animals, Michaela was also a wonderful wife and a caring mother. Every day I would wake up to a list from her on exactly what we needed to accomplish in the day.
I didn't understand Snarkers until I watched an actual episode of H3. Ethan is right to call it world building. Dan will gently correct Ethan when he exaggerates, but it's clearly not pushback, it's just being factual. And then Hassan went on H3 and acted like he actually believed Dan was secretly aligned with him. They do create their whole separate realities. Remember, it's always the projection thing. So like one thing that they say this a lot of my QB forums, they're just like, oh, he's trying to control the narrative. But I mean, what they truly do is when people document and catalog stuff on this, they have their whole world of like what's actually going on and what's actually happening behind the scenes the whole time. And then they'll give an explanation for it. And then they religiously will try to archive stuff to further their worldview. And especially if it's an online figure who is doing YouTube, especially streaming, like you can always find, there's so much information out there. You can find basically whatever you want to support, whatever story you want as well.
Her work ethic was, for lack of better words, relentless. But we did everything together. Despite her pouring out all of her love for the animals, she still found some love to give to me. I have never shared a bond with anyone the way I have with her.
Wait, was this like her boyfriend or something, or just a close friend, or?
We spent nearly every moment of every day together. And now half of me is missing.
Oh, husband. Oh, sorry. This video makes a lot more sense now. Okay. And they have a kid. Oh, shit. I thought this was just like a random friend that worked at this place. Oh, shit. That's super, super, super insanely rough. Yikes. Okay, I wasn't aware of that. Sorry. Damn.
Sorry. She had so many lofty goals and aspirations, and she would push and push until it got done. But despite all of this, she was a best friend to Freya. And every day she would teach her how to interact with, respect, and care for the animals here. They would go on pony rides together, swing in the fox yards, and take care of Freya's little cockroaches. The first thing Freya would want every morning is mommy. But through all of this, for her entire life, she struggled.
Justical A-logs the hell out of you. If you try to debate him about anything regarding you, he will be as statistic as possible and ask for fucking date, time, location, longitude, and latitude of when you did or said something to make it impossible to have a conversation with him in good faith. He is addicted to you. Oh, yeah, apparently he created... I get people who send me videos of him. He'll debate people off stream about whether or not I'm an E-rapist. And I think apparently he made a channel in his Discord for people to specially come and debate about me. Yeah.
She struggled with autism, with depression, with borderline personality disorder, and more. And she was always in and out of different kinds of therapy, trying various mood stabilizers and meds, but nothing really seemed to help. Simple tasks were hard for her. Looking at her from the outside, you could never tell what was going on in her head, but even just socializing would send her over the edge. Looking at a cluttered restaurant menu would make her just want to leave. And wearing the jeans that she loved would give her so many sensory problems that it could ruin her entire day. And if you follow her personal page, she loved helping educate people about the problems that she and others faced on a daily basis. She would stay up late at night writing away about things out of her control and how she would attempt to cope with them. She made posts and discussed autism awareness so that it could be spread and help everyone understand just how difficult life can be for those on the spectrum. And she was so sensitive to everything, which is a double-edged sword because on one hand, it allowed her endless empathy for those in her care, but it also means that she took everything negative to heart. And now I want to talk about how words, whether spoken in person or written online, can affect someone. For a few years, a group of people had been throwing dirt on Michaela's name and the rescue. Most of these are people she knew, and some of them are other animal sanctuaries. They consistently spread ridiculous claims and rumors, and being the sensitive human that she was, Michaela took it all to heart. And it hurt her. It hurt her a lot.
This sounds like a prepared speech. It kind of does. Yeah, that's true. I wonder why he keeps looking down into his hands on the piece of paper as well. No shit, Sherlock fucking Holmes.
But she pushed through. For years, she pushed through the pain of people trying to bring her down and the mental challenges she faced. And she still rescued hundreds of animals and changed the lives of so many. But recently, more of the...
I remember you being pretty critical of the people kill themselves because of internet harassment conversation in the past. Have you changed your mind about that? I don't think I'm critical of it in general. I think I was critical of it in a few specific circumstances. Like, for instance, for Reckful had severely... That guy was... If anybody ever had clinical depression, it was absolutely Reckful. And I think there was stuff about TwoMat at the time as well. I don't remember 100% as much about that. The issue with some of the kind of harassment that exists today, I don't want to make broad statements about Kiwi farms because I don't read like this generally. Like I just get like leaked stuff from my thread, but I don't watch everything. But one thing that I hear said a lot, and maybe this was never true, so people can tell me if I'm right or wrong, is it used to be that in places like Kiwi farms, you would go to these places and then you would write about people and you would just kind of like laugh about them with the fellow farmers, and that's all you would do. And they had like the policy was like, don't reach out and f with these people because then they'll stop producing milk, right? They won't be entertaining anymore if you start f with them. I don't know what changed, but it feels like as of recently, over the past like couple years, it's not enough to just have a place where you talk about people. Now you have to like be involved. You've got to reach out. You've got to harass. You've got to you've got to go to other communities. You've got a brigade. You've got to go to other social media. Now it's like insane. But I don't know if this is just my Kiwi Farms thread or not. I don't know if it's just my Kiwi Farms thread or not, or if it's everybody's, or if this is just like Snark communities have changed in general. Like in mine, for instance, like there was this one fucking girl. I don't know why, dude. Women are crazy on the internet now. Not just to people in my orbit, I guess. Unloaded all of our conversations to a person that posts on my Kiwi Farms site, and he said multiple times, you know, I guess he's going to do it. He's like, if Destiny wins his case, I'm going to leak every single video and everything that this girl sent me. I was like, okay, well, that's kind of unhinged. But like, they're very actively involved in my ongoings. And then for a lot of these other Snark communities, you've seen with like the H3 Snark community and stuff, that they're also like very involved. Like, it's not enough to just kind of talk shit. They have to like be involved in social media, reach out in other places and harass people in other places and spread information in other places. Like, very important that they do it. Yeah, and it's just gotten to be a little bit unhinged. Because my advice in the past would have generally been, if a place is bothering you, if you feel bad reading certain comments, just don't read them. especially in places like lolcow or in places like Kiwifarm. Like, just like don't go to the website. It's very easy. But now all of the people on those boards, or at least it seems from what I've seen, will aggressively try to spread that to other areas. And so it's a little bit unhinged, I think.
Rude words, accusations, and name calling came from some of those she considered close friends. I think all of this stems from jealousy and envy. But she felt as if the entire world had turned against her. She had always battled with borderline personality disorder causing emotional instability, as well as impulsive behaviors. But this time it went too far. She couldn't bear what she was.
Do you have a theory that what makes you specifically so attractive for people to not just like a discreet, but completely obsess over for months and months? There's two things, I think. The two main things, I've said this a million times, is that one is I don't map cleanly on other political communities, so it's easy to make enemies out of everyone. Well, two, actually, I'll just say three things. Two is my demeanor in general. I have a very aggressive, like debatey demeanor. And three is because I used to do such a variety of content before, a lot of it involving a lot of crazy dramatic stuff, like the labs and the Mr. Girls and the Anna Bars and everything else, and John Zerka and all this, and the Red Pill stuff and everything else. Because my life was so public, it attracted a certain type of viewer. Like there are certain types of people that like to watch stuff like that. So I think all of these things kind of like play together to, by 2024, I'd picked up a lot of unhinged, like obsessive people.
But this time it went too far. She couldn't bear what she was feeling any longer. And she ended her life.
Kiwifarm still has that rule about harassment. They've watched so closely that they will follow the law at least. Maybe in some places, but not in my thread. And I know Josh posts in my thread, so I know he sees it going on. But in my thread, they'll pretty commonly post links to like other social media for people to go and brigade comments and or to Reddit threads and everything else. Like they're pretty big on that.
And it breaks my heart that someone who is selfless and devoted her life to animals could have so much negativity pointed at her. Why? That's all I can ask is why. In a world that's filled with darkness, she was just light. She was just light. And to those of you that pushed her to this, every one of you that had been responsible for making her feel this way, I wish you had to see me find her. And I wish you had to watch me perform CPR on her for 15 minutes until the first responders arrived. And I wish you had to watch helplessly as paramedics attempted to revive her lifeless body. And I wish you had to hear the screams and the cries of her family. I wish you had to see tiny heartbroken Freya try to understand why she could never see her mommy again.
How old did they say? How old is her child?
I wish you understood what you were doing before you did it, before it had to go this far. And I wish you understood that words do have real and terrible consequences. If you only have negative garbage to say, just shut up. And if you are feeling lost and hopeless, please reach out to someone, whether it's friends and family or calling a hotline. And to everyone else, please keep an eye on those around you. Look for the signs because they are there. Do something or say something before it's too late. Despite this being the biggest loss of my life and feeling like I have a literal hole in my chest, I will not let Michaela's light be extinguished. And I won't let negativity win. And I won't let her mission fall apart. I'm going to continue to push to rescue the remaining fur farm foxes, and after that, save as many animals as possible. But I will need your help. As long as you guys will continue to support all of us here at Save a Fox, we will keep pushing forward. I'm confident we can bring more light to this world, and we'll be doing it for Michaela. For now, we all just need some space and some privacy, but I'll soon discuss a day where everyone can come here and pay their final respects. And I'm just going to end it with, I love you, Michaela. I will always love you so much. And I miss you.
The rest, oh wait, do you think this will have any impact on the Snark in general? I feel like Reddit should be lit up for allowing this. Well, I don't know her personally. I didn't know this person. I don't know if they killed themselves because of the Snark subreddit. Obviously, I think her husband saying that contributed to it. It might have. I truly don't know. But generally, the issue is that people who are snarking on people now, because everything is so intertwined with politics, people actually don't care. Like if I were to kill myself, my whole thread and all of Hassan's community would be cheering. If Ethan killed himself, they would all be genuinely cheering. They might, maybe, do a virtue signal tweet where they're like, oh, like nobody should kill, but they would genuinely, they'd be cracking jokes and like having the time of their life about it. How would DGG react if Hassan killed himself? I think most people would say it's not a good thing. I know that like there are people in here that like to show how pure and how smart they are by saying that like, oh, like we do the same shit. But we wouldn't and we don't. It's not even remotely the same. I think that if you say that, I think that you're like a second meeting kind of person who's trying really, really, really hard to show the community how like special and smart and different you are. But the reality is there are so many posts where when Hassan does a good thing, I remember when he did the, and I even fought against it. I didn't like the opinion, but when Hassan was, what did he do? He supported something or did somebody, he went to a protest or something, maybe the No King stuff. And the subreddit comments were like, oh, well, listen, if Hassan is doing good stuff, like good for him. Like, oh, well, we should celebrate, blah, blah, blah. No other subreddit on the lefty part would ever say that about a liberal ever. So yeah, the comments that come from you that are trying to be so special, like, oh, well, we would do the exact same thing. No, it's not even remotely the same. You're clueless when you say shit like that, but you're very special. So this was a selfish suicide. I don't mean to be edgy, but it is. I'm really sad for her, but she left her kid without her mom. I think I understand people kill themselves when they are burdens on others, but this wasn't that. People don't kill themselves because they're burdens on other people. People kill themselves because they feel like life is not worth living. I don't think generally, unless you're talking about like, I think generally people kill themselves when they feel like life is too painful or there's too much anguish surrounding life. It's probably a selfish thing for sure, but I mean, like the person doesn't want to live anymore. Like, Jesus. So it's a permanent solution to a temporary issue. Isn't that necessarily irrational and you live your life every day based upon the emotional outlook you have relating to your life. And if you feel like things are going to last forever, people will make decisions based on that emotional state. So how do you feel about assisted suicide in that? I think it should probably be allowed if you truly want to die, and I guess if you could clear it, if there are certain hurdles that are passed, it's probably even ethical, right? Destiny, feeling like you're a burden is extremely correlated with suicide. Robin Williams felt like that, and here's Scarlett Alexander talking about it. I mean, I don't know how you describe like the primary, secondary, tertiary, like feeling like a burden might be, I guess, in a way, I guess could be a part of it, but the feelings are not wholly rational, I don't think. Like, I think it has more to do with a more fundamental emotional state, and then feeling like a burden on top. Like I guess, imagine somebody was like a quadriplegic and they were slowing down their family and friends a ton, and they were like, I want to kill myself because I feel like a burden on everybody. I mean, I guess they want to kill because they feel like a burden, sure. But I mean, it's also because they're quadriplegic, right? But I feel like with mental illness, I guess it depends. It's really hard to generalize this. This usually has good things to say about everything, though. Okay, I'll read it. The DSM lists 9 criteria for major depressive disorder, of which the 7th is playing jungle. Just kidding. Feelings of worthlessness or excessive or inappropriate guilt. There are a lot of dumb diagnostic debates over which criteria are more important or more fundamental. And for me, there's always been something special about criterion 7. People get depressed over all sorts of things, but when they're actively suicidal, the people who aren't just gesturing for help, but totally set on it, they always say one thing: I feel like I'm a burden. Depression is in part a disease of distorted cognitions, a failure of rationality. I had one patient who worked for GM, a very smart guy, invented a lot of safety features for cars. He was probably actively saving a bunch of people's lives every time he checked in at the office, and he still felt like he was worthless, a burden, and that he was just draining resources that could be better used for someone else. In cases like these, you can do a little bit of good just by teaching people the fundamental lesson of rationality, that you can't always trust your brain. If your system 1 is telling you that you're a worthless burden, it could be because you're a worthless burden, or it could be because system 1 is broken. If system 1 is broken, you need to call on system 2 to route around the distorted cognition so you can understand, at least on an intellectual level, that you're wrong. Once you understand you're wrong on an intellectual level, you can do what you need to do to make a sink on a practical level as well, which starts with not killing yourself. Oh, cute. Oh, this is in 2014 too. Damn. Okay. It's cute that he makes this distinction. I make this distinction a lot, that you can know something intellectually, but it's not the same as feeling it emotionally. And sometimes you have to, like with a fucking hammer, like smash something in intellectually so much that eventually you hopefully start to pick it up emotionally as well. But these are two very, 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 very different things. The systems are, I guess you can connect them with like CBT or something, but like they're very different systems. As sad as it was, Robin Williams' suicide has actually been sort of helpful for me for the past few days. I've tried telling these sorts of people that Robin Williams brightened the lives of millions of people, was a truly great man, and his brain still kept telling him that he didn't deserve to live. So maybe depressed brains are not the most trustworthy arbiters on these sorts of issues. I don't know if he'll go more into this, but a lot of people assume, or I hear this said a lot, that Robin Williams just killed himself because of depression, but he had some severe like neuro degenerative going on as well. Was it like Lewy body dementia or something? Like that guy's brain was like deteriorating. But this sort of supportive psychotherapy, i.e. psychotherapy you make up as you go along, can sometimes take some people, can take people some of the way, and then the medications do the rest. But sometimes it's harder than this. I don't want to say anyone is ever right about being a burden, but a lot of the people I see aren't Oscar-winning actors or even automobile safety engineers. Some people just have no easy outs. Another patient, 25-year-old kid, had some brain damage a few years ago, now has cognitive problems and poor emotional control, can't do a job, got denied for disability a few times. In accordance with the ancient bureaucratic tradition, survives on a couple of lesser social programs he got approved for, plus occasional charity handouts, plus some help from his family. One can trace out an unlikely sequence of events by which his situation might one day improve, but I won't insult his intelligence by claiming it's very probable. Now, he attempts suicide, says he feels like a burden on everyone around him. Well, what am I going to say? It's not always people with some obvious disability. Sometimes it's just alcoholics or elderly people or people without the cognitive skills to get a job in today's economy. They think that they're taking more from the system that they're putting in, and in monetary terms, they're probably right. One common therapeutic strategy here is to talk about how the patient's friends, family, girlfriend, pet hamster love them, how heartbroken they would be if they kill themselves. In the absence of better alternatives, I've used this strategy. I have used it very grudgingly, and I've always felt dirty afterwards. It always feels like the worst sort of emotional blackmail. Not helping them want to live, just making them feel really guilty about dying. Sure, you're a burden if you live, but if you kill yourself, that would make you an even bigger burden. A++, best psychiatrist. There's something else I've never said because it's too deeply tied in with my own politics and not something I would expect anybody else to understand, and that is, humans don't owe society anything. We were here first. If my patient, the one with the brain damage, were back in the environment of evolutionary adaptedness and a nice tribe with Dunbar's number of people, there would be no problem. Maybe his cognitive problems make him a slightly less proficient hunter than someone else, but whatever, he could always gather. Maybe his emotional control problems would give him a little bit of a handicap in tribal politics, but he wouldn't get arrested for making a scene. He wouldn't get fired for not sucking up to his boss enough. He wouldn't be forced to live in a tiny apartment with people he didn't necessarily like who were constantly getting on his nerves. He might get in a fight and end up with a spear through his gut, but in that case, his problems would be over anyway. Otherwise, he could just hang out and live in a cave and gather roots and berries and maybe hunt buffalo and participate in the appropriate tribal bonding rituals like everyone else. But society came and paved over the place where all the roots and berry plants grew and killed the buffalo and dynamited the caves and declared the tribal bonding rituals problematic. This increased productivity by about a zillion times, so most people ended up better off. The only ones who didn't were the ones who for some reason couldn't participate in it. If you're one of those people who sees red every time someone mentions evolution or cavemen, imagine him as a dock worker 100 years ago or a peasant farmer 1,000 years ago. Society got where it is by systematically destroying everything that could have supported him and replacing it with things that required skills he didn't have. Of course, it owes him when he suddenly can't support itself. Think of it as the ultimate use of eminent domain, a power beyond your control that sees everything in the world. It had some good economic reasons for doing so, but it at least owes you compensation. This is also the basis of my support for a basic income guarantee. Imagine an employment waterline gradually rising through higher and higher levels of competence. In the distant past, maybe you could be pretty dumb, have no emotional continence at all, and still live a pretty happy life. As the waterline rises, the skills necessary to support yourself comfortably become higher and higher. Right now, most people in the US who can't get college degrees, which are really hard to get, are just barely hanging on, and that is absolutely a new development. Soon enough, even some of the college educated won't be very useful to the system, and so on until everyone is a burden. People talk as if this is only possible, people talk as if the only possible use of information about the determinants of intelligence is to tell low IQ people they are bad. Maybe they never felt the desperate need to reassure someone, no, it's not your fault that everything is going wrong for you. Everything was rigged against you from the beginning. By the time I am a burden, it's possible that I am already. Just because I can convince the system to give me money doesn't mean the system is right to do so. But I expect I certainly will be one before I die. I would like there to be in place a crystal clear understanding that we were here first. Society doesn't get to make us obsolete without owing us something in return. After that, we will have to predicate our self-worth on something other than being able to contribute in the classical sense of the term. Don't get me wrong. I think contributing something is a valuable goal, and one it's important to enforce to prevent freeloaders, but it's a valuable goal at the margins. Some people are already heading for the tails, and pretty soon we'll all be stuck there. I'm not sure what such a post-contribution value system would look like. It might be based around helping others in less tangible ways, like providing company and cheerfulness and love. It might be a virtue ethic celebrating people and usually good at cultivating traits we value. Or it might be a sort of philosophically informed hedonism along the lines of Epicurus, where we try to enjoy ourselves in the ways that make us most human. And I think my advice to my suicidal patients, if I were able and willing to express all of this to them, would be to stop worrying about being a burden and to start doing all these things now. Wow. Basically, don't worry about it, bro. And go goon. Be a gooner. Be a gooner. You go to therapy? I'm a man, and therapy's for the weak. Just kidding. In a video game.